Right, hello again. We are back and it's glorious sunshine in the Pennines, even though it is December.
And it's very cold.
And it's freezing. Yeah, we've had a proper freeze overnight after quite a lot of rain, so it's very icy out. But anyway, the irony is that some of the filming that has been done for this vlog over the last sort of 18 months has been more horrific weather in August. So that's the Pennines for you. Right, I am here with the monster, obviously, and Louise, who is head of equine nutrition, or something along those lines, at Connolly's, which is Red Mills, Foran and Cardea Martin. And I am really lucky enough to live next door. I mean, when I say next door, obviously that means like over the hill because we're on a farm. But anyway, lucky enough to live next door to Louise. And I have never actually had any expert advice about feeding horses before, partly because
Salt.
coming in. Do you need tying
Oh,
up
she's
as well?
She's like, I want to be on the camera. Back.
I might need to put you on a halter and tie you up, you monkey.
I could be on the outpost.
Yeah. So I'd never thought about asking for advice before. I always thought it was a bit like going to, like, you know, the beauty counters at Boots where they all want to push you their own products. But in winter 22, spring 23, both the boys came out of winter just not looking that great. And I think a mix of things. Perry was turning into... Thank you. Perry was turning into a senior citizen, so he definitely had changing food requirements, and this boy was starting to actually be properly worked. So his he needed different feed just to help him stay fit and have the energy needed. So a few different changes that we needed to think about, or I needed to think about. And so I asked Louise over a glass of something cold for some advice.
So I have absolutely no footage from April when Louise first came and had a look because vlogging wasn't even a thing for me then. But what I do know is that before April, the boys were on a conditioning mix, a locally made one, soaked beet into and through and out of the winter, and also some chaff. So in the April, Louise put them both on a proper, like, complete balancer with a care package, which I'll talk about in a bit, or Louise will talk about in a bit, and some hoof supplement. And I also put Monty on a joint supplement, and then they both, until maybe Mayish time, just had a little bit more soaked beet because it was a bit rubbish weather.
Over summer 23, and I know this is like asking people to remember back nearly 2 years now, but summer of 23 was awful. It was shocking weather and we had rubbish grass. So what was really, I guess, typical of a summer in terms of expecting horses to come out of winter a little bit leaner, we put them on the balancer to give them the nutrients and then expect them to bulk up a bit over summer in terms of the grass. Didn't happen. It was awful. So you came back in August and actually we had a proper change in plan in terms of getting some weight on the boys.
Yeah, just before we got to the following winter, so they weren't so lean. We needed to get a little bit more condition on them during the summer so that they could go into the winter and stay a little bit healthier.
Yeah. It is early August and it kind of stopped raining, but it is the Pennines. So, is it a vain aim to understand what the heck the equine nutrition world is all about? It's really confusing for a normal horse owner like me who doesn't really understand it. Is that the same for everyone or is it just me?
Yeah, no, I think it is the same. Like, there's lots of products out there, there's lots of opinions out there, and it can get really confusing.
confusing. And I think that's where kind of my role comes in, to just help guide you and help you understand a little bit more about nutrition so that you can make the best choices for your individual horses.
So trying to, I guess, keep it as simple as possible, because I also have other people that come and look after them for me, so I need to keep it as simple as I can, but make sure it's value for money as well, given you can spend a fortune on stuff you might not need.
Yeah.
And most importantly, just make sure it's as effective as it can be for each of them. Is that doable?
Absolutely. I'm a great fan of keeping things as simple as you can. You know, you want to not have to buy lots of different products for each different horse, and okay, sometimes you know you need to do something different depending on their requirements, but at the base of it, if we can keep it as simple and easy as possible, and that means if you're away and somebody else is feeding them, it's not overly complicated, and we can make sure that the horses just get what they need.
Perfect.
So the last time we visited, we were obviously coming into the summer, and I know you've plenty of grazing, and they're turned out, you know, as much as they want, they can kind of free roam. So the one thing we know that grass alone won't provide is all the vitamins and minerals. So bearing in mind you wanted to keep it simple, what we decided to use was a nutrient-dense balancer called Performacare. And that just is going to make sure that they're all getting a balanced diet in conjunction, obviously, with the grass. So that was the main aim initially, was just to make sure they're getting what they need day to day to stay nice and healthy.
Yeah.
So the balancer has some pro and prebiotics, which are going to help with his hindgut health. And then hoof-wise, obviously, being a thoroughbred, notoriously bad hooves. So we just wanted to make sure that we were getting the right levels of nutrients, in particular things like biotin, in there to help with him.
Yeah.
So how have you found it?
I think, but again, I'm probably biased. I think he has put on a lot of condition over the last few months. He is looking much healthier, more muscled up than he was. He's keeping weight on better than he was, and actually he seems to be just a lot more comfortable all round.
That's great. That is really great, and I think there's definitely, obviously the grass will have helped, although it has been a challenging year because even today it's raining. But there's definitely really good quality protein in there, so that's probably why you're seeing a little bit better top line and muscle development. And also, as well as the hindgut package, there's also a long-lasting gastric acid buffer. So if he was a bit uncomfortable in his tummy, maybe that's been enough to just help him. So it's great that it's working well.
Yeah, brilliant.
We're just going to weigh him and see what he's coming in at. 574.
Oh, that's better than I thought he would be. Okay.
So he's doing quite well. How old is he again?
He is 25.
He's quite an elderly horse.
Yeah.
He actually looks really well for an older horse.
Good.
So, you know, he's got good fat covering here. I'm sorry, I know, you don't like weighing that. You know, he's got a good neck, no crest, which is fine, but good shaped neck. You can feel, and actually you can see a couple of ribs, which I might at this time of year want a little bit more covered.
Yeah.
Obviously he hasn't got good muscle tone.
Yeah.
You know, he's retired, he's not working, you're not going to build muscle without exercise. But weight-wise, I think he's okay. I'd maybe like him a fraction better covered, just given the time of year and we're coming into the winter.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to maybe look at addressing that now, rather than waiting for the bad weather to really come in and then thinking, oh God, we need to do something.
Yeah.
So we'll chat about what we can do, put into his diet to maybe help him gain a little bit of condition, and then we can reassess just before, you know, the winter really starts in, and if we need to do more, we can go from there. But
perfect.
We can do it in stages.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, good stuff. My old boy. Yeah.
So, Monty.
Yeah.
How you said you're relatively happy with how he's been doing.
I am, but again, I would have wanted him to have a little bit more weight on by now. He's a little bit ribby. And I think when I've been doing quite a lot with him over the last couple of months, he's just lost a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think, but see what you think.
Yeah. And what about top line? Do you want him a bit stronger?
Yes, it's always a struggle. He's high withered, he's an ex-racehorse, so he's never going to be brilliant in terms of some of the muscle, but I would like to get a bit more on him than he has.
Okay. Let's quickly weigh him, as we've done with the others. Right, so he is 524 on the weight tape.
Yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right. You know, he does look good, but again, he's just not carrying quite enough through the middle section, and he could do with a little bit more muscle development. Now, obviously, he's in a decent level of work, so we can develop those muscles on him. Whereas with Perry, that's you know, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should again start to make a plan to give him a little bit more help now.
Yeah.
And then we can reassess coming into the winter, and if we still feel that he's going to hello beautiful, still feel that he's going to need more, we can increase it from there.
Okay.
So what we're going to do with them is keep them on the balancer, because that's providing them with their nutrients. But what we're going to do is add some Define and Shine into the diet. So Define and Shine is like a high calorie, high protein addition that you add in on top of the feed. So again, you're not going to have to feed a huge amount of it because it's really calorie dense. And it's also got some omega-3 fatty acids in there. So they're going to be really good for immune function, stomach health, particularly with Perry because he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
Also joint health. Omega-3s
Okay.
are really important. Hello you. Certainly looks like he's going to like it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave you with a little cup.
Yeah.
A full cup is about 200 grams. So with Monty and indeed Perry, we want to be feeding.
Come on. Go on.
We want to be feeding them about 500 grams.
Right. Okay.
So it's 2.5 cups
Each
per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the balancer quantity stays the same.
Balancer quantity stays the same.
Okay.
This doesn't have all the added vitamins and minerals. So
Yeah.
there's some vitamin E in there, but there's not all the other added vitamins and minerals. It is just a top dress for when you need extra calories and extra protein, extra quality protein.
And it isn't going to cause him to get more excitable because he's quite excitable as it is sometimes. You are so naughty.
He's taking a shot. Oh.
Are you going to have it? Is that what you're saying? You like it? Yeah, right, fine. You can have some with your tea. Come on. Right. With a hole in the bag, try again.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to cause him to become more excitable. It's low start.
Yeah.
Introduce it slowly.
Oh, okay.
It is high oil. Obviously, we always make any changes slowly. So over sort of 5 days should be enough. So particularly with this chap, just monitor his droppings again.
Right.
Just to make sure that, you know, the high oil isn't making them a little bit loose. So that's why we do it gradually, so that the digestive system can adjust.
And gradually, say 500 and then build it up over 5 days? Not 500, 100 and build it up over 5 days?
So start on 100 and then each day add another 100 in. That would be really sensible.
Okay, cool. So the chaff that I've got him on at the moment is Denji, I think it's the Alpha A oil one.
Yeah, that's perfect. Denji's a really good brand of chaff, and the alfalfa does have some extra protein in there versus, you know, a sort of straw-based chaff, so that's going to help with the top line, and the oil will obviously add some calories in. So that's perfect choice chaff, exactly what I'd recommend.
And then the only other thing that I've got him on is a joint supplement in addition, just because I want to try and keep his joints as healthy as possible. That still sounds sensible.
Yeah, 100%. I know the joint supplement, we've looked at it before, it's a pretty good spec on it, so more than happy with that. And I think that's one of the things that people often think about if they speak to a nutritionist that works for a company, that they're going to give quite biased advice and always recommend, you know, their own products. And yes, you know, we will recommend our products where they're appropriate, but equally a good nutritionist will be able to look at, you know, any product that you're using and say, yeah, that's a decent product, it's got the ingredients that we want, and so they should just be giving you good advice.
Good. And that joint supplement's the Aggie form, the Supple's Gold one he's on at the moment, so maintenance dose for that.
Great.
Cool. Welcome back to the Pennines. It is technically autumn, although in summer we had, after the last time we filmed on horse feeding, we had summer and winter in the space of a few hours up here, so we're going to take the good weather whilst it's with us. Horses are enjoying having the rugs off for a bit. We are looking at how the last couple of months has been since Louise came up to assess them and give us the advice about what to feed them. And we've had the boys, Monty and Perry, both on the new feed for about 2 months now. Hasn't quite gone to plan with Monty. Both he and I have had some periods of ill health and haven't quite done as much as we wanted to. So we've probably had about a month of those 2 months in work. Perry, though, has had a very healthy 2 months. So we will see with Louise, who's going to reassess them shortly, what sort of difference, what sort of change we think it might have made, and what we think the plan's going to be, what we need to do for winter.
Let's weigh him to start with. I think he does look better. His coat looks better, do you think?
Yeah, he seemed, for me, you see what the weigh tape says, but he feels like he's put some muscle on, particularly his top line feels better.
Okay.
He's looking less ribby. He's definitely more active.
Okay.
In a good way for an ex-racehorse. He's just got loads more energy when we're out and about doing things, which is great.
But not too much. You're not finding him excitable. He feels well.
Yeah, he feels well.
Oh, those flies are annoying you, aren't they? So he's coming in at about 5:30.
Okay.
Which I think is a little bit of weight gain from last time. We'll obviously look back on his record card.
Yeah.
But he hasn't gained a huge amount of weight, but I know you had some fairly difficult weeks. But I think you're right, his coat looks great. He has muscled up a little bit. And obviously he had that little break in work when, he wasn't well and you weren't well. So, I think he's along the right tracks. We probably need to have a chat about what we're going to do in winter.
Yeah.
Because obviously up here in the Pennines it gets very cold, gets very miserable. So we want him to make sure that he's, still on that kind of gaining a little bit of condition. But I think you're right. I think he has improved a little bit.
Brilliant.
Which is great. Well done, Monty.
Well done.
Right. So,
Okay.
Perry, the old boy. Let's see how you've been doing. Again, how do you feel he's looking, Jackie?
So I think he's probably made a bigger change than Monty in terms of he looks less ribby, definitely. He looks like, even though he's not really getting much work other than running around the field, he looks like he's put muscle on too.
Good.
He is definitely feeling good. He's turned back into a 5-year-old prancing around the field, which is hilarious and so lovely.
Yeah.
Because he had been just seeming a little bit like the old boy he was. So it feels like he's got a new lease of life.
Oh, good. And again, as you say, like he's never going to have the top line of a younger animal. But he's got a little bit more cover over his ribs. His coat looks great.
Yeah.
He does just look that little bit healthier.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, is feeling great as well. So again, we'll have a little review of his diet for the winter because we need to just make sure that he stays in good condition. But yeah, I think it's definitely worked really well on him. So that's really pleasing. Well done. Good boy.
Right, so having had a look at the check last time to this time,
Yeah.
what do we think?
So I think they are improving, but we just need to be conscious that the weather's going to change and it can get really quite chilly up here. So they're probably going to need more calories in the winter from the hard food. Obviously keep going with plenty of forage and making sure they've got lots to eat and chew on, particularly if the grazing starts to decline. You might start giving some haylage out in the fields to Monty and Perry. But at the moment they're getting a balancer and they're getting like a high protein, high calorie pellet called Define and Shine. I think in the winter a balancer and the Define and Shine is not going to be enough. Okay. So what I brought along, which I thought would probably suit them, knowing their temperaments and the way you like to feed, is the Horse Care Ultra cubes. So they are super low starch, but really conditioning. So they're going to be ideal for Monty where you want condition without fizz, you want to keep them sane. And what we're going to start to do is just include a small amount in his feed and then we can gradually build that up over winter. And as we build that up, depending on what level we feed, we can probably remove some of the balancer.
Okay.
Because the Ultra does have all the vitamins and minerals in there as
Yeah.
well. It's also got the same care package as the balancer. So if you remember last time we talked about the yeast,
Yeah.
the prebiotics, the extra biotin. So that's got this in here as well. So you're going to keep going with that effectively, just in a different format. So start small, just introduce it gradually, just maybe even sort of 400 or 500 grams, and then we'll gradually build it up as the weather changes. I think I'd keep going with the Define and Shine because I do think it's actually helped them. I think their coats look great, and they're obviously muscling up, so I think I'd keep going with that. But we'll just start to include this in both probably Monty and Perry's diet.
Yeah. And keep the rest of it the same, so the chaff the same,
So
joint
you're using
supplement, the top up foot supplement. And the other thing that I normally add in winter is a fibre beet.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So again, it adds a bit of moisture into the diet. So it's a good source of fibre, highly digestible fibre, and it's going to add a little bit of moisture in because the diet does become quite dry when they're not out on grass. So that's a great idea. So yeah, certainly add a little bit in.
All right, so we have a plan for winter.
We have a plan for winter.
So we are April now in 2024. We've been on the new feed regime for 9 months now. Louise is back to do a proper assessment this winter, given it's lasted about 6 months, and I'm starting to build an up because it hasn't stopped raining. So I'm hoping that this winter they've actually come through it better, and therefore we'll be going into the season this year better. So keep my fingers and toes crossed. Louise, tell us how you think they are doing.
Do you feel he's gained weight?
So I do. I think he feels like he's got a better top line. I think he feels like he's doing better himself. He feels like he's more cheeky, as you can see. He's got more energy, and he just looks less ribby and kind of gaunt. And we saw a friend a couple of days ago who hasn't seen him for a few months, and she said, "Blimey, he's looking really well."
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that all of that, even if he hasn't put lots on, he just feels and seems better and happier.
Yeah. I think he's definitely, like, his neck has definitely strengthened up, which obviously is partly diet, but partly all the work you've been doing with him as well in terms of exercise. I think his back's always been an area that's probably struggled a little bit, and I do think it is a little bit stronger across the back, and definitely his hindquarters. His
Good.
bum looks much better now.
Gorgeous bum.
So yeah, he's really looking great there. So he is coming in at 540, which I think is an increase.
So he was 524 when we first started in August last year. Went up to just over 530 in kind of October. So so it's
Another 10
kilos.
kilos. Yeah. And look, he's got a cover over his ribs, which he didn't have before. You could really quite easily see the ribs.
Yeah.
So you can still feel them, which is what we want, but you've definitely got a cover over there. So I think he looks great coming out of the winter.
Yeah.
And now it's just about maybe maintaining that condition, not letting him put on too much more weight, because obviously he is venting. We don't want him, too fat.
Yeah.
So I think if we can maintain him like this through the season, and obviously he's strengthened up, he's riding well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done a great job with him.
Well,
Really improved.
I think it's probably the miracle food more than me, but let's go with that. Okay, good. So that's one down. Let's see how the old boy's doing.
Okay.
Thanks. Right, Harry, 27, and I would say again with him, he's behaving more like a 5-year-old. He is prancing, he's playing, he's running around, he's got so much more energy. Again, I think he looks loads better. He's not getting ridden very much, but he's still got a bit of muscle, but just loads less ribby as well. So again, he feels better, he looks better, and he just seems much happier.
Yeah, I really can see the change in Perry. Like, he's definitely got more weight over him, and he's never, as we discussed before, he's never going to have the muscle
Yeah.
that a horse in work
Yeah.
would have, because he's just not doing the level of work. But if you look at his neck, he's got a little bit of fat here. We need to just be cautious of
Okay.
this now that they're going out on better grass.
Yeah.
Slight beginnings of a fat pad here as
Oh,
well.
okay.
But that's it. It's fine.
Okay.
Coming out of the winter, you know, we don't want him to gain too much more weight, but
Yeah.
we know he can, you know, drop a bit in the
Yeah.
winter. So, and again, his bottom looks good. Muscle tone, obviously an issue, but you know, he's 27.
Yeah.
So we'll give him away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
600 kilos.
600. So he was August last year, 574.
Yeah.
He'd gone up to just over 580-ish in October.
That's quite a lot of weight
That's a lot.
over the winter months as
Yeah.
well when it was cold. So,
Yeah.
so I think the plan with him now, again, is about kind of just maintaining this condition, not
Yeah.
allowing him to gain any more weight.
Yeah.
And I think because he's not in work, we are going to have to adjust his diet
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
compensate for the fact that he's out on better grazing.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think with him, it's time to almost kind of reduce
back
that
a bit.
calorie a bit, and you know, we just need to keep an eye on the non-fat pads and make sure they're not getting bigger. But like,
Yeah.
I think for a 27-year-old, he looks great, and his
amazing.
coat
Yeah,
looks, you
it
know,
does.
nice, and he just looks that little bit healthier, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
totally does.
So yeah, well done.
Well, again, magic food. So, this is the magic stuff that's created that transformation. Partway through winter, we swapped out one scoop each of the Ultra for a mash.
Yes.
So tell me again, Louise, why did we do that?
Well, you were feeding, was it fybro beet?
Fybro beet,
You were
yeah, yeah.
feeding fybro beet, and obviously that doesn't have the added vitamins and minerals in it. So I thought, just in terms of trying to simplify your feeding regime a little bit, what we could do is use a little bit less extra and include a mash that had a vitamin and mineral package in there.
Got it.
So that is, it's a product that's not officially launched yet, so you're one of our testers.
Yeah.
So it's a low starch, fully balanced mash, and I think the horses seem to love it, which
Yeah.
is great.
They have. Yeah.
So obviously the plan will be to launch that officially a little bit later on in the year. But with all new products, we go through a long period of kind of trial work with people to make sure that it's meeting their needs and that the horses are doing well in it. You've been one of our guinea pigs for this one, so.
Well, definitely echo the fact they absolutely love it. My goodness me, they cannot wait to slurp it down. And it's great because I quite like in the winter to have a bit of a mash for them, just to give them a bit of the bulk as well as the water.
Yeah, their diets can be quite dry if they're on
Yeah.
hay or haylage, you know, they're not getting out in grass as much, so it is nice to have a little bit of a mash. And equally during the competition season for
Yeah.
Monty, just in terms of keeping that hydration level, keeping him eating when he's travelling,
Yeah.
a mash can be really useful. So it's balanced with all your vitamins and minerals, so again, some of those are really important for a recovery process. So yeah,
Brilliant.
absolutely you can use that.
And the other things that I've been continuing to use, which I think I will still continue to use, the electrolytes.
Yeah.
Again, after he's done a lot of work, not for you, Perrier, just for Monty. And I haven't been brave enough to try the pre-fuel gel yet, if I'm honest, because
No.
generally I want him calmer.
Yeah.
But the refuel gel we've used twice now, and I think that's probably again been helpful for his recovery afterwards.
And I would always say with the pre-fuel, try it at home first. Like,
Yeah.
don't try it when you're off at a competition for the first time.
Yeah.
And if you're nervous, just try half the syringe
Okay.
and see. I know when we've spoken throughout the year, there's been a couple of occasions where you've either been away competing or you've been at camp where you just feel like on day 2 he's just a little bit tired.
Yeah.
So that's when I would
Yeah.
be using it, just on those specific occasions.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think what we probably need to think about now is
Yeah.
how we're going to adjust their diets.
Yes.
Obviously they're out in a new paddock,
Yeah.
which has quite a lot of
A
grass
lot of
in
grass,
it.
yeah.
So what we're going to need to do is work out how we decrease the calorie intake, but at the same time keep their diet balanced.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason why we kept a little bit of the balancer in over winter, because now we're at a point where they're probably going to need a little bit more balancer because we're going to be taking some feed away.
Right, okay.
So definitely, I think with Perry, no define and shine anymore.
Oh, sorry, Perry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no define and shine. He's looking great, and I think I'd start reducing the ultra as well.
Okay.
I'd probably even suggest that we go to like half.
A day, half a scoop a day, okay, so...
No, like half what he's on at the moment, so...
Okay, so...
If he's
so
on...
that would be half a scoop... one scoop a day then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so 1 scoop a day,
Yeah.
and let's put him back up onto 2 mugs of the balancer, so 500 grams of the balancer.
Yeah.
You could have a little bit more, 2 people, probably 600 grams. So with him, I'd be thinking, right, we're cutting back, and if we find in another few weeks he's still looking great, you may find that you cut the ultra out completely, and that he just survives on balancer for the spring and the summertime.
Yeah.
And then come the winter, we can start introducing calories again.
And what about keeping on the chaff?
A little bit of chaff, yeah. It
Like
just
half a
makes them
scoop
chew.
maybe? Yeah.
It just keeps them chewing
Yeah.
and stops them bolting the feed. So yeah,
Right, yeah,
a little
okay.
bit of chaff is absolutely fine.
Okay. And keep an eye on where
Just
those
keep
fat
just keep an
patches
eye
are.
on his body condition.
Okay.
Monty, I suppose, is a little bit different in that you're going to be doing a bit more work, hopefully, over the summer. So I would, for the moment, probably leave him as he is.
Yeah.
But if you find that he is getting a little bit heavier, you could reduce down the feed a little bit.
Okay.
So I would maybe, first thing I'd take out would be the Define and Shine,
Okay.
because that's really high in calories.
Right.
So you may find that actually even now, maybe reduce him to half of what he's currently getting on that.
Okay.
And the Ultra, then again, if you're doing the work, fine to keep feeding him. But if you're not, if for whatever reason you're going on holiday, or then we may just have to decrease that down.
Okay.
So we don't want him getting too heavy, because then he's not going to perform as well as you want. And if we do dramatically decrease the level of this, then we'll just pop in a little bit more balancer to top up his micronutrients.
Okay.
And I like a little bit of chaff in his diet as well. A little bit of mash from the hydration point of view, and keeping him eating fine. You don't need any. You're a back on kind of calorie restriction. And then keep going with the supplements. Obviously, the care range does have the biotin at really high levels, but with his poor feet, that's why we were including a little bit of extra with the hoof aid. So yeah, it's just it's that funny time of year where they're going out in grass, and you just need to monitor their condition and then adjust accordingly. But I think probably both of them are going to need less hard feed now that they're on a decent paddock. So just gradually start reducing it back and see how they get on.
Yeah, perfect. So it is, as I say, December, and we are going to see how you're looking with a very, very busy year. So one of the things that I have been trying to do, based on, if I want, it's a bit of a telling off every time Louise comes, is try and monitor the weight and take preventative measures. And in August of this year, he did start to just need a bit more. So I upped his cubes again just to give him a bit more energy, and that definitely worked. So I just think I need to keep monitoring it throughout the year and just keep adjusting. But let's hopefully see that we're now in December. It's been fairly wet few months. It's been a bit rubbish, the grass, this time of year. So hopefully he's not lost too much, but we will see how he's doing.
Yeah, and it hasn't been that cold, so
no, it hasn't yet.
Bar today,
Coffee
where
today.
it's freezing.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that cold. It's been wet, but it's been a mild winter. So yeah, we'll see how he's looking.
Let's weigh you.
Okay.
So I've got the measurements from the previous time, so I'll look back at those in a second.
Yep.
First look, what do you think?
I think he looks great. So we can obviously feel, but we can't see his ribs. You know, he's got good definition on his shoulder, a nice upside down C shape across his back, and his backside actually looks really good. And I know some of that is muscle, and you've been working really hard to kind of keep him engaged. So I think weight wise and condition wise, he actually looks great.
Great, okay.
He's always one horse that I probably would like a little bit more top on, but I think that's obviously muscle, partly his shape and just partly, you know, doing the right exercises to try and get him to engage. But
Yeah.
I think overall condition I'm pretty happy with.
Excellent. Good. Okay.
So he is coming in at 550.
Okay. So he started off at 524 in April 23.
Wow.
No, sorry, August 23. He was 524, and he was 540 in April. So
Okay, so he's still gained a little bit of weight. Obviously, the weight tapes aren't as accurate as the weigh bridge, so I think that's pretty good. He gained obviously when we wanted him to, and he's holding that weight despite the work.
Yeah.
So what we want to maintain now is to make sure that he maintains the weight over the winter.
Yeah.
But that he's just holding this weight. I think he's in good condition. We don't need to be feeding him to gain weight.
Yeah.
We just want to feed to maintain
it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Fantastic. Right. Shall we see what your brother's like then? So Perry is now, I'm pretty sure he's 28 now, and he had a fat pad last time you saw him.
Yeah, a little tiny one.
Tiny
Nothing to be majorly worried about, but yeah, little fat pad.
A little fat pad. So he has still had a kind of maintenance diet, but a little bit less in terms of the calories over this summer and into winter. And he's now properly retired, so he's not doing any work. Well, I say that, other than prancing around the field with the other two and behaving like a stallion, he doesn't do anything. So let's, see what do you think when you're looking at him?
I think again, he looks great for an older horse. Like you wouldn't think he was 28. He definitely, from when we first started feeding him, I think he looks far better.
Yeah, good.
So again, condition-wise, I can feel the ribs, but I can't see them. Whereas I think previously he has been quite ribby.
Yeah.
We have got enough. There's a little bit of an infill here, so again, just keeping an eye on him.
Yeah.
But bottom-wise, looks fine. Obviously, he's not in work and he's elderly, so he's not going to have that muscle as we've discussed before.
Yeah.
We're not going to get that back. So, you kind of have to just accept that he's old.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think he looks fantastic for his age. Yeah.
Good.
Really well.
Good stuff.
Right, let's give him a little weigh. See what he's. Oh, he says, what's that? It's just a red tape. Boy. Right. Make sure it's not tangled up. So he has remained at that 600 kilogram mark.
Okay.
Which
So-
I'd be pretty happy with.
Yeah.
You know, we're coming into winter.
Yeah.
I know he's rugged and he's very well cared for, but we're coming into winter. It is going to be a little bit colder.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, if he drops a tiny bit condition, it's not a massive issue.
Yeah.
I probably don't think he needs to gain anymore, so we just need to keep an eye on it. Try
And now
maintain
we've got a
this.
new addition.
We might need more food.
So this is our latest addition, little Salt, who I haven't weighed before. Don't know whether she's been weighed before, but she's just turned 1.
Yep.
So what I need to work out is how to best feed her for obviously growth. But she's a little Welsh, so I don't want to overfeed her.
Yeah.
And again, it'd be great to have the regime where the competition horse, the veteran, and the youngster can all be on the similar sort of food.
And you don't need to be buying multiple
Yes,
different products. Okay.
indeedy.
Fine. So there are, obviously she's young, her bones and her joints are still developing. So you need to be really aware of that in terms of not letting her get too heavy.
Yeah.
Because that can have potentially quite serious impacts to her bone development and her joint development. Plus she's obviously, as you said, a native, so they are more prone to putting on weight than other breeds. So we definitely need to keep a really close eye on her as we come into the spring and the summer. So we'll weigh her now, which will give us a kind of benchmark.
Yeah.
Looking at her and sort of feeling her and condition scoring her, she actually looks perfect.
Right, good.
So she's not too heavy. Again, I can feel the ribs. You know, I can feel her shoulder. She hasn't got, you know, a dip down her bottom. It's nicely rounded, but there's no kind of gutter along there. So I think she's perfect as she is.
Yeah.
So again, we're just trying to probably maintain that.
Yeah.
During the winter, and then we can reassess coming into the spring as to see what we need to do.
Okay.
So again, we're just gonna weigh her. Good girl. Oh, you're very well behaved for a baby.
What's
Very good girl.
Yeah, you are. All right.
So she is coming in at 260 kilos,
260. Right. Okay.
which I think is about right for her at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's still growing as well,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
weight's going to, you know, change on depending on how much more she grows. So we just need to keep an eye on her. But yeah, 260 at the moment, condition-wise, looks good.
Great. And she has been getting per day, so split into 2 feeds. She's been getting a cup of balancer, the same balancer.
Yeah.
A little bit of chaff
Yeah.
and a scoop of the wet mash.
Okay, that's fine. I think the balancer is obviously making sure she's got all her micronutrients.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely critical that she has that. A little bit of chaff just to bulk it
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and a little bit of the mash, again, just to make her feel like she's getting a bit more of meal.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's soaked, isn't it? So
Yes,
it's not
yeah,
a scoop
yeah.
of
Oh, no.
dry mash. It's
Very
soaked.
wet.
Yeah, so it's
very
probably
wet,
just a couple of 100 grams. So that's fine, just to give
Okay.
her a bit of moisture in her diet over the winter. And then, yeah, we'll reassess coming back into the spring and the summer.
Cool. And there's nothing else as a youngster she is going to be needing. That'll give her everything.
The balancer should give her everything that she needs. So all the trace minerals, the vitamins, the quality protein. So no, there's nothing else necessarily that we need to add in at this point. So yeah, perfect.
So that's our 18-month journey of working out what the boys and now little Salt needs. And I am really pleased now we have an annual feeding plan with 2 or 3 core ingredients for them each, and then additional things predominantly for the monster. And because of all of that, the weight gain in Monty and Perry has been brilliant. I am so pleased. And it is now March. Obviously, I always take ages to get these vlogs done, but it is now March, and I have just taken some more photos and looked at them again and weighed them again, and they have held their weight brilliantly over winter. So really pleased. Loads of learning, as you would expect from an 18-month journey, which I've just kind of like put together in a bit of a summary, but it has been really interesting and a very educational process. Big thanks to Louise, of course, my super neighbour.
And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.